violence in relationships, drugs, cocaine, fights. You told me a bit of some stories, and we want to share those stories with you guys because I think it's important to understand we are not living in a peaceful bubble all the time.
Fairy tale.
Right? And I want to ask you some questions about that. Could you invite us in your past? Where are you coming from? What's your upbringing with the material arts, with the self-defense sports, and your relationship troubles? Because I think it's very important to talk about it in a way to understand, make people understand it's important to be prepared and be ready in case something happens, right? And always there's a trigger for something with the alcohols, with the parties, and all these things happening right now.
I think my mom, she tells me that she was always scared because I was like very exquisite when I was a kid. I was like a ginger with freckles in Brazil, and everybody was like, I was always getting a lot of attention, and she was really worried about violence and this kind of thing. So she encouraged me since I was 9 years old to take up on martial arts. So first I did capoeira from 9 to 12 or something, and then I started judo. I started to do judo classes, and then Muay Thai, kickboxing by myself, and jiu-jitsu later. And because she knew that we were living in a sexist, toxic male society, and I think she probably had something in her own experience she never shared with me, but I think she wanted me to be able to defend myself, you know. And she always, my father was like very against violence. She didn't want me to do martial arts, but my mom was like, no, she has to, and we're gonna, you know, encourage her to do that. And so I really took that seriously, and I was a professional Muay Thai fighter. I had a long career with Muay Thai kickboxing, and then I did jiu-jitsu more in a friendly way, but also going to competitions and everything. So I was really good at, and when you do it, you also practice with men, and my masters, my senseis, they always try to teach me what to do in a competition, but also how to perform if it was real life aggression. So they used to call like, you do this if you're in a fight, in a ring, like in a dojo, but you do this if it's like a perv attacking you in the street. So that gave me heaps of confidence to just go and travel by myself and do things that other girls, they were probably be frightened about it because they don't know how to defend yourself. Of course, if there's a guy with a gun pointing to your face, you're not going to be able to do your tricks, but that still kind of prevent you to be too fragile, to be too, you know, like scared of men, you know. And I think that was a funny thing because the other day I saw a video. This reporter, she goes out and she asks to woman like, what do you think you would be putting you in danger if there was no man in the world anymore? And then they were like,
crocodiles.
Yeah, like snakes, or I don't know. And then you realize how scared men, the women in Brazil are about men, you know, like it's our biggest enemy, is like, it's the biggest threat we have in our country. So I think I don't feel like that. So I don't feel uncomfortable. And I remember she was asking, how would you feel if you were in a room with 50 guys, just you being a woman? I don't feel uncomfortable. I can be pretty okay surrounded by other men because I have this feeling that I know how to stand up for myself. Even though that might be an illusion that if I get gang raped or something, I'm not going to be able to do anything, but you still think in your mind deep down that you know how to protect yourself. You don't need someone to protect you. But basically, having that knowledge didn't spare me from having a situation where he was my first serious boyfriend, and we were together for several years, like 3 years or something. He was always kind, but he had some issues with drinking, and later on I found out also that he was doing cocaine and other drugs, and so that would change his personality. That would just mess up with his ego and makes him very jealous and annoying and controlling. And then one day we were at a club or partying or something, and he just snapped. He had a jealous cry, like a very bad one. And when we got home, he just started to strangle me, you know, and I just punched him straight away, and I run away, because the best self-defense is run away from your aggressor. You just get rid of it and you run away. You don't want to give them a lesson or kick their asses. You just want to run away. It's the opposite, because people think, you know, self-defense, so you're gonna kick your aggressor's ass. It's not about that. It's about getting rid of the aggressor and run away and get help. Find help, someone to help you out. You know, the police or a neighbor.
You didn't do that in that moment, right?
I didn't
Not
do.
Right away,
I run away and I lock myself in the room, but he just managed to climb the window and enter the room again, and then try to strangle me again, and then I had to.
And you said you were sleeping at that moment?
Yeah, I was sleeping. There was a friend with me in the room, and I woke up when she was like screaming, but he was already like on top of me, and then I managed to neutralize him again. And in this second situation, I put him down. Like I did a way that we get the back. We go to the back and you strangle. You do like this, and you strangle. And then I did enough just to make him like faint. I didn't want to kill him, become like a killer or something. But then I called the police, and I asked for help with my neighbors and with the neighbors back then, because it was in his house, in his summer house. And the neighbors had already called the police. And
did they wake up because of the noise?
Yeah, that was like 5:30 in the morning, and he was like high on cocaine and yelling and calling me whore and all those kind of things. And then I saw myself that I always thought that I was a strong woman, that I would never, you know, face that kind of situation. And I was there living it. But I always thought that I would be in that position with some strange guy in the street. Like,
not the boyfriend.
Not my boyfriend, not the love of my life.
The first love
of my life. Yeah. And it was really hard for me to accept it. But I was strong enough to not go back into that relationship. And that was when things got really bad, and he started to chase me. And one time I was at the party talking with a friend, and he just threw a beer over like our direction, and fortunately he didn't hit us. He hit the wall, and then my friends took him out of the party, and like they didn't beat him or something, but he got really mad. When we got out, he was like waiting inside the car, like trying to hit me with the car. And then I just got so frightened that I moved to another city, and I got this really serious PTSD, post-traumatic disorder. I had to see a therapist because I was in this revival feeling, like remembering the whole situation that kept going into my mind, and I was overthinking about that all the time. It was a really dark moment of my life, but I've managed to get through it. And
so that kind of thing that really damaged you emotionally, it sounds like you just defend yourself and then you got rid of this relationship, but in the end it was more like a big emotional trauma. And we were talking about that woman who cannot even defend themselves. They would probably get killed or die or get seriously injured in that moment. And you came away, you got away with that trauma emotionally. And that's very, very sad actually, that things like this are happening in relationships, in love relationships. And how long did it take you for get over that, and what did you do, and what would you recommend others who are in similar situations?
Yeah, again, I think therapy was crucial for me to get over it.
And first of all, beat up your boyfriend if he treats you like that.
Yeah, because that felt good after all. I was like, well, at least he was more fucked up than I.
Did he know you're doing the fighting and everything?
He
Of
knew,
course,
he
right?
knew that. And
Why is
was,
he attacking you?
He was more like a surfer. He didn't know how to fight. And I was lucky, but sometimes in Brazil, like you have guys that are high skilled fighters. So my friends, they have pepper spray and teasers because you gotta have other resources to defend yourself because sometimes the guy knows what he's doing it. But maybe it took me, I would say, 3 years
Wow.
to heal. And then even though I was okay, but I couldn't have other relationships for a long time. And I ended up going to like a Protestant church and where I didn't have relationships at all. And I was more like focused. If I would like someone, I would get to know that person, try to get to know the person deeply before starting a serious relationship. And I think that was like something that I've learned from the situation, and I still have it right now. I always say that you gotta go through an internship so I can really see your character and see if you have like drinking issues, drug issues, how you treat your mom, how you treat your friends, if you have some kind of, you know, violent behavior before I really give myself,
Open
up myself to a relationship. Because back then I was very intense, so I would just met you and like, oh my God, I love you, let's spend the rest of our life together. And then when you realize you're really in love and you can break up because you're too involved, you know. So it's like it's a self-defense mechanism. Is also don't be too intense. Allow yourself to fall in love, but be cautious because shit happens. And if you're too naive, and men, like, especially when they have violent behavior, they're really good at pretending they're good. So in the beginning of the relationship, they look really nice. They're gonna do everything to be kind and gentle, but deep down they're just waiting until you are comfortable, you know, with that relationship, so they can start being abusive.
Wow.
So a good advice is like practice martial arts, but also practice this exercise of being a little bit more aware of the other part of the relationship behavior. And it's really important to see how they treat others, not only you, because with you they might be nice, but if you see they treat their mom like shit, they don't have like girlfriends, they only hang out with guys, they really don't appreciate like a woman's company, and they don't treat women with respect, they make comments about other women, you know. And this is like a red flag that we gotta be keep an eye open in order to avoid to fall in love for these guys. And as much as people think you can't control it, and that's what I used to think, that I couldn't control my feelings. If I fall in love, I fall in love, but that's not true. And that's what makes us different from animals. We are rational animals. You know, we have conscience about our actions and about other people's actions. So be conscious about your partner's actions, and if you realize that is a toxic partner, just stay out of it and break up as soon as you can. Because, you know, when you have kids, when you have assets that you share with him, like a house, a car, it's harder to split out, you know. So it's better if you do it straight away when you realize. And they're gonna say like, you're paranoid, this is nothing. They're gonna try to minimize, you know, the problem, but don't let them deceive you. Like, really pay attention on those signs. And like I said in the first part, like, talk to a therapist, talk to your friends, and other women, they will, especially most experienced women, they're gonna help you figure out if that's just something in your head or if it's really serious, you know. But you can feel it. You feel that, you feel a little bit self-conscious when you realize those small gestures of, you know, aggression and violence. And you gotta figure out that as soon as possible, like I said, because once you're really in love, it's hard to just turn your back and move with your life. You just go with the flow, and when next thing you see, you have a black eye or you're dead. You know, it's like I don't want. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die in a barrel, or I don't know. I'm not gonna die because of some stupid man, and my own stupidity of not being able to break up because I'm afraid of what people can say about it, or because they're gonna say, "Oh, you're a failure. Your relationship just failed." Like, yeah, I'm a failure. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Tell us about your way of showing compassion to one of your clients. I think it was, you said she had a problem. She got beaten up by her husband or by her boyfriend, and she came to you and tell us something about their story. What happened and how you
Yeah.
show compassion, and but also what would you advise her to do?
Yeah, there's a thing because I had as a lawyer, I had a partner. There was a guy, and every time we had some case related to woman, I would take the lead because I think we are more able to empathize with other women. And then this girl, she came to me and she tells me, look, I'm in this relationship. I have 3 kids. She was pretty young. She was 27 or something, but they already had 3 kids. And she wasn't working, and she was like relying on him for everything. And one day he just pushed her, and he was like being abusive with words and like controlling her life and everything. And I told her, we need to report. We need to get you a protective measure against him. He's not going to be able to approach you. And he couldn't see the kids, and it was really necessary, but she was in a lot of pain because the kids were suffering with the absence of the dad and everything. So we got that measure at the police station, and then after 3 months, I guess, she called me and she's like, he's talking to a therapist. I think he's changed. He's a better person now. He understood that he can't do that. And I couldn't tell her what to do because as a lawyer, you can only give advice. You cannot tell your client what to do. The final decision is always with the individual, with the client, not with you. But I had that bad feeling, you know, because I watch the news. I'm going to court almost every day, and I see other cases, and I see what's going on. And I just told her, I just warned her, like, be careful. Call me, whatever happens, doesn't matter. If it's like 3 in the morning, just call me. And we used to live nearby each other. So 2-3 weeks later, she got back with him. She called me 3 in the morning, like, help, help, help. And when I got there, he had already escaped because the neighbors called the police, and the police was there. She was like destroyed. She lost most of her teeth. Her teeth. She needed stitches on her head. She broke an arm. She was really, really fucked. And I felt so responsible because I kept thinking like I could have done something. I could have prevented her to go back with him, but I couldn't. You know, like I said, in other situations, I can't save others. I can only save myself. But I understood because I've been through that situation. Not so bad as her situation, but I also got. I was also suffered abuse by someone that I used to love, and even when you suffer the abuse, you still love the person because nobody is just bad, or you know, like they're also good. They have good things. You have good moments, so you get a little bit attached to those moments, and it's impossible for you to stop loving someone just because they hit you.
It's not a bad
It's
person
a process,
in that moment,
and
right?
that's
Yeah.
why you have to go to therapy, because it's not about stop loving him. It's just putting yourself in the first place and loving yourself more than you love him. And I don't think you're never gonna stop loving him. I'm gonna love this guy for the rest of my life. He was my first love. We had something really, really nice before getting into that, you know. And I don't hate him, but therapy taught me how to forgive him. But in the first place, how to forgive myself, because you don't forgive yourself. You're like, how did I let that happen to me, you know? And you keep like blaming yourself, but it's not your fault. So it's hard to forgive yourself, but therapy helped me with that, and also helped me with other things that I believe that nowadays I'm more aware when I'm in a relationship. And I always observe a lot. Like I said, how do you treat your mom? How you treat your friends? And these small things, they can give you some hints of how the guy can behave towards you in the future. But if you ignore that, if you just like let yourself in and you go with the flow and you just let yourself be blind, you might experience a bad situation in the future. So it's easier if you realize that in the beginning of the relationship. So pay attention, be careful, and yeah, be safe.
Defend yourself, yes.
Defend yourself.
Learn how to defend yourself, and go to do some classes with some teachers, and learn how to do the basics, right?
Yeah, and that would give you the confidence also to realize when they basically just talk something with you that you don't realize, you just stand up and say, I don't like you talking to me like this. Can you just stop it? If you don't stop, I'm gonna break up with you. You know, you feel confident, and you know that if it does like that, you're gonna do like that, you know, and it's not gonna save you from every harm, but especially it's gonna give you confidence to stand for yourself and say, no, I don't want this, you know. And this can be in different situations, you know. For example, if you are in a sexual intercourse and the guy just tried to force you to do something you don't want to, or refuse to use condoms or something, and you just stand up and say no. And I have friends that they were basically raped, because this is considered rape as well, because they don't feel confident enough to say no to a guy. And I would never be in that place, because I would say no. And if he tried to force me, I'm gonna kick his balls or something, you know, to get rid of him and run away and whatever. So it's about give you confidence enough to deal with men, and don't let men step on your head or force you to do anything you don't want. Still, shit can happen, yes, but that's gonna prevent you from 90% of the situations, you know. And yeah, it's important. I think a woman should do that as a must do, you know. Is choose one martial arts. Like, I know that it can be tough to, you know, like for your aesthetic, you know, because you get bruises, you can have like big nails. It's a little bit against your feminine idea, but marketing. You can still be feminine and be a fighter, you know, and be like a warrior. And I said myself, I consider myself a princess warrior, because I'm still a princess. But if I have to go to war, you don't want to be my enemy. Yeah.
Any add-ons for the listeners?
Yeah, I think it's always good to grab a friend, you know, to have that friend that it's gonna be a listener, and you listen to that friend as well. It can be a guy, can be a girl, but don't keep things to yourself. The silence is the biggest weapon that those abusers they have against you, because it's when you don't share, nobody knows. So if you disappear, if they kill you, nobody's gonna know about it. You know, at least if they do something, people gonna know that he did it, you know. And yeah, grab a friend or a psychologist if you can afford one, and talk about it. This is what Freud, like the whole Freud thing is about. It's about katas. I don't know the name in English, and maybe it's another name. But it's about like you heal through speaking about your problems, about your issues. When you speak, when you talk about it, you free yourself from everything. So the only way is talking about it. If you shut it down, it's just gonna be a big, deep, and eternal trauma. And I feel that I healed because I talked about this so many times with my friends, with different psychologists, with my guy friends, you know, also because I think it's important for you men to discuss this, to talk about this, like I'm telling you now. And if you have opportunity to talk to other guy, you share the story and tell like, look, this happened to my friend. We can't be like this. You know, we gotta be good for woman. And you know, like if you see that a friend of you, like a guy friend, is also behaving like this, you call him down and you say, God, man, don't do that. Don't be this kind of man. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be your friend. You know, so this is not just for women. My advice is it's my point of view. If men don't take part on this fight for women's right and women's safety, we're never gonna achieve like real outcomes. It's gonna be always inside the women's circles, but men is gonna continue to be toxic because they don't talk about it, they don't share these kind of things, and they don't really look down to their friends if they do these kind of things. But in my case, just to sum up and finish this story, my ex-friends, they were on my side. They just stopped talking to him, and they used to tell, we wish we could have seen you beating him up. And there's good guys, you know, there's a common expression in Brazil. We always say, not every guy, but always a guy. You know, and this is really powerful because we cannot make general assumptions, but in some parts of the world, I think it's pretty much violence is always pretty much coming from guys, you know.
From men, yeah.
From men, yeah.
Got it. Learn how not to be. That's what I just noted down here, write down. I think in life it's very important to learn how we can or how we should deal and how we should be or could be to behave in public, in society, or with women or with ourselves, and also how not to be. So this would be a good example how not to be as a man, right? You should not beat up your woman, or you should not beat up your children or trying to kill them or choke them or do those kind of things. And I would like to discuss in the next video about what men actually can do to have a better relationship, to have more harmony with women without this violence, without this kind of pressure and all these things, you know?
Yeah, and yesterday we were playing these moon cards, and I got a really interesting card that says, fretting is a sweet sounding word for feeling anxious. As you already know, this won't help you to move closer to your goals, as it means you're directing thoughts and energy into what you don't want rather than what you do want. And bringing this reflection here to what we are discussing, I reckon that when I manifest the type of man I want in my life, I would never say, I don't want a woman beater or an alcoholic. I say the opposite. I want a gentleman. I want a sophisticated man. I want a gentleman. I want a sophisticated man. And I repeat that as a mantra, because if I keep telling, I don't want a guy that is going to beat me, that is a jealous guy, this is really bad. This is like this
shit, yeah?
I don't want to attract that. So I prefer to manifest what I want, what is positive, you know, because that's just the minimum. And if you just attach yourself to what is the minimum you should expect from a man, you're going to be conditioning yourself to the worst type of man. And it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I want someone that is like a man that I admire, a man that inspire me, that believe on me, that like encourage me to be myself, that doesn't shut me down for who I am, that doesn't think that I'm too much, that thinks that I have to, you know, express myself exactly how I am, and he appreciates that, and he's proud of my achievements, and he keeps, you know, like pushing me further instead of pushing me down. That's what I manifest, and that's what I know that the universe is gonna give me, and not just like, I don't want a woman beater. Of course not. Of course not. This is obvious. We shouldn't be manifesting that. So ask for the good things, and the universe is gonna give it to you.
Okay, next video is about how to be a gentleman. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. Give us a thumbs up.